Now I've had the opportunity to eat at all three of the major specialty restaurants here on board the Celebrity Apex. So I'm going to review those for you. Also going to tell you a little bit about the two main dining rooms that I was able to eat in so far this cruise. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of the cruise. The first night of the cruise I ate in the main dining room, one of the main dining rooms. Of course this ship has four main dining rooms. Cosmopolitan, they have the Tuscan restaurant, they have Cyprus, and they have Normandy. I still haven't eaten at Tuscan and Normandy. I will be eating at those the next two nights of the cruise, and I'll tell you in my final review of the cruise, which will be out soon, I will tell you about those restaurants. But starting with Cosmopolitan, the first night of the cruise, I told you a little bit about this in the embarkation day video. Cosmopolitan was very, very good. This was my first experience in celebrity dining, and I was very impressed. I was like, wow, this is a main dining room, but it tastes like specialty dining food. I had the Cajun fried chicken, and that was so amazing. It was so tender and juicy, and the food itself was hot. I mean, it was piping hot. Normally, even the best food I've had on cruise ships, which is Royal Caribbean right now as it stands, it's not as hot as this food was. I mean, this was like, it literally just came out of the fryer, right off the grill, right to the table. Nowhere did that food sit waiting for anyone to come get it. Like, it was piping hot. It had mashed potatoes and a biscuit with it. And then dessert was great that night as well. So really enjoyed Cosmopolitan. The second night I was in the second main dining room experience, and this time I went to Cyprus because this was a day we were at Mykonos, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have this like authentic Greek meal, this Mediterranean meal. It's gonna be amazing, and it was. The food was so hot, the food was so fresh, everything was amazing. For my main dish that night, I had the chicken souvlaki. That was good. My appetizer I had that night was some cheese dish, and I'll put the name here because I forget the name of it. Basically just melted cheese, and I had maybe half of it or a quarter of it, and then I realized I just couldn't do it anymore because it was just too much cheese. Is that even a thing? But it was for me, I'll say. But it was really good. Everything was hot there. The service has been on point everywhere. The service was good in there. For dessert that night, I had the New York cheesecake with caramel sauce drizzled over the top, and this is one of the menu items. Of course, you eat in the main dining rooms. It's sort of rotational dining, but they do have some items that they have across all of the dining rooms that night. The dining rooms, of course, because they're themed differently, a French restaurant, a Mediterranean restaurant, an American cuisine restaurant, they do have cuisines and a menu of food that's just unique only to that eatery. However, they also have the main dining room menu for that night, which is different every night. The selections from that restaurant itself, which are unique to that restaurant, those are always the same each night, but they also, every dining room will have a portion of the menu that's the same across all four dining rooms. So part of that menu was the New York cheesecake, and that's why I picked it that night. I wanted to try that, and it was delicious. Everything was good at Cyprus. Really enjoyed it. Now we move in to the specialty dining. The first specialty dining location, and let me back up a little bit first and say that because I'm a part of the concierge class on this cruise, I'm able to go down to my concierge, and shout out to the concierge who's been helping me, Dana. Dana has been great this cruise to take very good care of me. Went down the first day of the cruise after I boarded, a couple hours after I boarded in Athens, worked with Dana to set up my dining reservations, both for the main dining rooms each night, but also for my specialty dining. I had pre-purchased the 3-night dining package. I think it was about $137, which was a pretty good value. I think that's like a $15 savings because each of the specialty dining restaurants here on Celebrity are $55 per person. And this is a little bit more than what you're gonna pay on Carnival and Royal Caribbean and lines like that. Those are usually $35 to $40. So the food is a little bit more expensive, the specialty dining. So if you do think you might want to do the specialty dining, make sure you check out one of those packages. They can only be purchased, I think, before the cruise starts, maybe up till 24 hours before the start of the cruise. So make sure that's something you purchase before. So got on board, went to the concierge. Dana helped me book all my specialty restaurants, and we ended up, because we wanted to block off lobster night, which is actually tonight. So it ended up just being that the specialty restaurants were consecutive nights. Night 3 of the cruise, 4 and 5 of the cruise. So first I went to Eden, and I was super excited to eat there. I had been back there to check out that area a few times over the course of the cruise, and it's a very cool area. First of all, wow, the setting of this restaurant's amazing. It's on the very back of the ship on decks 4 and 5. So when you sit down, The view I had anyways, it was looking right off the back of the ship, the aft view. You could see the wake of the ship. That's one of my most favorite views in the entire cruise ship. So, I mean, we're sailing off the coast of Rhodes, and so you have Rhodes on one side and you have Turkey on the other, and you can see the wake. You can see the sky starting to turn to night slowly and start to get dark. It was just an amazing view. My server this night, I had Shaquille, and he was amazing. Very, very good service. Some of the best service I've had our cruise was that night in Eden, and the food was phenomenal. The thing about Eden is they try to make unique dishes that are earthy, that have a connection to earth, that are sort of more organic. So for my starter, I had the sheep's milk gnocchi. The sheep's milk gnocchi was very good. The only thing I'll say was it was actually too much, and they gave you very large portions even for appetizers, because I was like, wow, you know, gnocchi is sort of doughy, so it's actually a lot to eat. So I didn't even get to finish that because I'm like, wow, this is a lot of food. The thing about the specialty dining restaurants here, you can have as much as you want. So he encouraged me to try more of the food, not just one appetizer, not just one entree. He said, you know, have as many as you'd like. So I said, also I want to try the soup that they had on the menu. And this soup was incredible, y'all. Some of the best soup I've ever had. This was a type of soup that you wish you could have on like a cool, crisp fall night. Like, it's very spicy. A lot of different flavors were going on in the soup. A lot of different textures in the soup. It was really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. It tasted very fresh and very organic, and sort of went with that feel that Eden was trying to go for, so it worked really, really well. For my main dishes, I actually had two of those, because of course I did. I had the filet mignon, and wow, that was a tender piece of meat. I could have cut it with my fork. It was like melt in your mouth filet mignon. I also had the lobster casserole, and y'all, the lobster casserole was amazing. I've thought of that lobster casserole now every day since I went there. I just want to go back and be like, can I have another helping of lobster casserole? I'm very tempted to book Eden again because I enjoyed the restaurant so much, but really just to get another helping of that lobster casserole. Never been served so much lobster on a cruise ship. Normally you order and they give you a single little tail, but this was like almost like a full lobster in this casserole, and the casserole also had this sweet corn cream in it, and it was just so good. I can't say enough about it, about how great it was. I really enjoyed that dish. For dessert, I had the creme brulee, and this creme brulee was very unique because it had carrots in it. I never had creme brulee with carrots in it before. Creme brulee, of course, if you watch my channel, my cruise vlogs, you know I eat creme brulee all the time on a cruise. This one was just okay. It was actually cold. It was supposed to be served that way, but I just wasn't into it that much. But all said, Eden was amazing. Perhaps the best meal that I've had on this ship. It's going to be really close with another eatery I'm going to talk about in just a minute. Now, the second specialty restaurant that I ate at the next night was the steakhouse, Fine Cut Steakhouse. And I'm going to say a big meh on this one. I wasn't as impressed with the service. The service just was not there in Fine Cut Steakhouse. It was okay, but it wasn't like the service I've experienced everywhere else on the ship so far. The food was just okay. Like, I got the ribeye. I love a good ribeye, and I thought, wow, I'm going to this nice fancy steakhouse on a celebrity cruise ship. This steak is going to be amazing, and it was just okay. You know, for $55, additional $55, I don't feel like it was worth it, the meal that I ate. For my starter, I had the crab cake. I normally love a crab cake. This one was just okay. It had too hard of an outer crusting on it. It kind of felt like something that you might get at the grocery store frozen and fry and make it home yourself. It sort of felt like that a little bit. I wish I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was that they make everything fresh, right? But it tasted very, you know, like it was heated up or it was fried from frozen. So it wasn't that into the crab cake. My steak was just not very flavorful. By the time it came to the table, it was just almost all cold. I had the truffle fries with it. The truffle fries were not good. They were not crispy. They were just very like cold, almost stale-like. So didn't like that. Had some mushrooms with it. The mushrooms were fine. They were mushrooms. What more can you say? And then also had some cream spinach. It was also fine. A little lukewarm as well. So wasn't as into the food as far as appetizers and main dishes go in the steakhouse, but one redeeming quality of the steakhouse was the dessert. I had the warm apple and walnut cobbler, and whoa, that was really good. It really tasted wonderful. It was warm. It was served with some ice cream on the top, but wasn't sold on the steakhouse. Not a big fan of the steakhouse, and probably would skip it if I were to come back aboard the Apex or the Edge or the Beyond or, you know, another celebrity ship. I probably would just bypass the steakhouse because of that experience that I had. Now, let's talk about the next place that I ate, Le Petite Chef and Family. And this was an amazing eatery, such a cool idea and a neat concept. I've never had a meal like it before in my life. This is one where you go sit at the table and you have a set menu, and if you're okay with that set menu, that, you know, they'll go over it with you, the waiter does. And if you're okay with all the dishes, and of course it's the seasons, it's like cooking through the year, cooking through the seasons. So there's a course for spring, there's a course for summer, there's a course for fall, there's a course for winter, and that corresponds to your soup, to you know, your appetizer, to your entree, to your dessert. Then once that's done, there's actually an animation that plays out on your table, on your plate, and the little movie, the little characters, it's almost like a Pixar movie, right? They come together and they actually prepare your meal. You see them throwing all the ingredients together right on your plate, and then as soon as they're done with the meal on there, the waiter is standing, puts the actual dish right on your plate. And that was just amazing. I was blown away by that. I loved it. It's about a 2-hour experience. They do start it at 6 o'clock in the evening and 8:30 in the evening. There's 2 set dining times because everyone in the restaurant is eating at the same time because they're showing this animation and the speakers are playing the audio for the animation. So everyone has to be on the same entree at all times. So there are only 2 seatings each night for that dining experience, and you have to try it. If you're coming on a celebrity ship that has it, y'all, I'm not kidding. It's worth the $55 or whatever price you pay, whatever dining package credit you use. Go eat at Le Petite because you won't be disappointed. I have some video that I'm going to play here because I did video quite a bit of the experience just to show you what it was like. So I'm going to start those videos now. So dining tonight at Le Petite Chef and Family, and this is actually where they'll do a lot of animations on the plate and stuff as the meal progresses. So super excited about this. This is a pretty unique dining experience offered here on the Celebrity Apex. So excited to see how this goes down, and I'll share some of it with you all.
Well, enjoy the flavors of the season.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Because the plate is very hot.
Thank you so much. So there you go. That was Le Petite. Wasn't that such a cool concept? Let me know down in the comments before if you've eaten there before, or if you've eaten at a restaurant similar to that before. I know a lot of other cruise lines have similar concepts, so I'm interested to know, have you eaten there before? Have you eaten somewhere similar before? Let me know. And that concludes our Sea Day food reviews. Goodbye, everybody.